Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. In this video I wanted to talk about things that I feel needs to be changed in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I did one of these videos both after the pre-alpha and after the beta, and I thought it was time to do one now after the launch as well. It's been almost 3 weeks since the early access started, so I've had quite a long time to actually fill up this list of things that I want to change, but it's by no means complete. There's going to be a lot of small nitpicks we all have regarding specific heroes, regarding specific maps or weapons, and I won't go into all of those, but I wanted to bring up the kind of larger points that I think are important to make sure that people keep playing this game and won't get annoyed by bugs or different things that they feel are missing in the game. So apologies if I jump a little bit in between topics in this video, but I've simply got a big list here in a document that I've been filling out since I started playing, and I just wanted to go from top to bottom, and I've tried to order them from kind of the most important at the start and then to some mixed stuff after that. And I also want to mention that some of these things in the video has already been acknowledged by DICE and EA that they are working on, but I still felt like it was better if I just addressed everything that I feel needs to be changed in the current build of the game and not what they promise for the future. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. And let's start off with the big things that kind of blew up in the community. First off, we have buying heroes with credits. I think that the reduction of the price made them into a realistic cost, but honestly, I think that cost should go altogether. It doesn't make any sense to me that you need to pay with credits to unlock the heroes. It doesn't give you any sense of achievement at all. All it does is neglect your normal progression, since you need to basically not buy any crates for quite a while to get all of those heroes, which means that you will lag behind on your other progression. And I still actually haven't unlocked all heroes because I wanted to level up some of my classes and heroes by buying crates, and since both that and the heroes are locked to the credits, that just makes it annoying. The one thing that I think would have been fine if they really want to have the heroes behind some type of unlock would be if it was through challenges. Maybe you need to get 100 kills with hand to unlock Chewie and so on, because that would fix two things. First of all, it would not interfere with your normal progression, and secondly, there would be no way to affect that with real money. Well, right now you can't affect it anyways, but at the start that was one of the issues, that you could basically buy your way to those heroes, and that would not have been the case if they were locked behind challenges instead. And I know it's a little bit late bringing this up now because a lot of people watching this video have probably already unlocked them, but I also want to aim this towards potential buyers of this game, and I really don't think it's a good system as it is right now. If I were DICE, I would just completely lift that lock on the heroes altogether, or add them behind some fairly simple challenges instead. And of course we got the crates, and I want to start off with just crates in general, not bringing in the pay to win aspect. As I've mentioned after the beta, I think crates are fine if they are not the whole part of the progression as they currently are. You can get some stuff from milestones such as specific class crates, weapons and so on, but most of it is basically through crates. And I think Dennis mentioned this in the AMA, that they made the mistake of focusing everything around the crates, and I completely agree. And I think crates should not be the way they currently are, as in they can pretty much contain everything in the game. And you should be able to focus your progression more into the specific class or hero that you play a lot. I don't mind if it's a little bit randomized, you know, because it makes it interesting to open those crates. But at the moment I know so much people who are frustrated because it's all tied to the crates, and then you can get a bunch of duplicates that barely give you anything back. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up that I honestly think is, I have to say, really bad by DICE and EA, which is the fact that they literally go out in a post and say that we will get crafting parts from duplicates. That post is still up on their website. It says you will get crafting parts from duplicates, but instead we get credits, and getting like 40 crafting parts would be so much better than getting 200 credits. And that's something that really disappointed me, because it also slowed down the progression a lot. But if we go over to the whole pay to win element, I don't think we need to worry about the system coming back the same way it was before, because, well, the internet would go absolutely crazy and the game would tank altogether. So the options I want to discuss are kind of the ones that have been rumored throughout the community, and there's two I've heard so far, both of which I'm honestly fine with, but the ideal one would be that we had cosmetic only crates. And I know know that completely reworking the progression system is something that's going to take a while, so the things I mentioned earlier about not having the progression completely tied to crates, that's not something they can fix in a week or two. But if they do want to get microtransactions in there as fast as possible, I think cosmetics are simply the safest bet, where you have a specific cosmetic crate with a bunch of different skins, emotes, victory poses, and all those kind of stuff that doesn't affect the gameplay. I think that's what most of the community wanted in the first place. And the second option that I've heard that I am actually kind of fine with is if they have some type of upgrade packs where you know what you will be getting. So here's a upgrade pack for the assault that you can buy. And there's some things I really want to clarify here. First of all, that would remove the whole gambling aspect, because you can't pay for the crates that are randomized with gameplay items, but you would pay for specific packs. And secondly, those were actually both in Battlefield 1 and in the previous Battlefront game, and well, no one complained. I think one of the things was simply that they added them after a month or two, which obviously was better than having them at launch so everyone could get ahead. But if they add them, let's say a month from now, I'd be completely fine with that, as long as they of course make them very balanced. Maybe you can unlock all the low tier cards or the uncommon cards, but not get like 1,000 credits or crafting parts that you can spend on anything, because then it becomes pay to win again. But if it's plain upgrade packs aimed towards people who just bought the game and haven't played it for 1 or 2 months, like some of us might have done by that time, then that's completely fine. If that means DICE and EA can get some more money to support free DLC and making some new players catch up, then I am completely fine with that. Just make sure it's not pay to win. You don't get basically free crafting parts that you can spend on anything to get full epics, and make sure that you can't spend $2,000 and unlock everything. So I hope that makes sense. It should be something you can use to kind of catch up if you're new to the game, like in Battlefield 1 and the previous Battlefront game. And that, coupled with cosmetics, could be a pretty good source of revenue to support future DLCs. But now that we're done with that part, let's go over to something else in the current system that can be fairly easy to adjust, but that is quite frustrating at the moment, which is credit gain not being affected by performance. Basically, they have said that it is based on performance, but it's very little. I've seen some comparisons of someone being the lowest on the scoreboard and someone being on the top, and one of them I think got 430 and one got 410, so it's basically nothing. There's people doing AFKing with their controllers on consoles getting 10k credits under a night, which just shows how stupid this system is. And even if they are slightly based on performance, there's no visual indicator of that whatsoever. In the previous game you could see exactly how your score was converted into credits. In this game you can't. I really think they need to buff that to motivate people to actually play the objective, get good score, win the games, because right now it's only based on how long you spend in the game, meaning that if you win a game fast, you actually get less credits. So I never see any point whatsoever in trying to win as a defender. I just let them push on until we are at the final phase, because, well, we get more credits, we get more heroes. Why would I want to win in the first phase? That's no fun at all. They don't even have any stats, so I can't really work towards getting my win ratio up either. So I don't want to go into any specific numbers here, because I think DICE can balance that better than I can. But just as an example, it would be nice if maybe you had a little bit of credits that was based on the time in the game, some that was based on if you won or lost the game to motivate you to actually win, and then maybe 50% of the credit gain could be based off the score. So if you get an insanely good game where everything's just going your way and you're getting so much score, well, then you should be rewarded for that, because right now it is so underwhelming seeing yourself have a really fantastic game, get 20k score, but you barely get any extra credits at all. Some things that are worth noting though is that if they base more of the credit gain off the score, they also need to balance out some point abusing that currently exists in the game, such as being able to kill AI ships over Starkiller Base, Kashyyyk and so on. But they've already said that they are aware of that, so if they do the credit fix, they will probably do the point abuse fix at the same time. But in short, I just think that the credit gain on average should maybe be 50% higher, so you'd get like 600 credits on average per game. But if you have a really good game, you can get up to 1,000. If you have a really bad game, you can have maybe down to 300 or 400. So it varies a bit more, because right now it's pretty much the same all the time. But now over to some of the a little bit smaller points. The daily challenge, for instance, has a very low reward. It's basically 100 credits, and no challenge is really worth that, because that's like 5 minutes of Galactic Assault. So I've never honestly tried actively to do the daily challenges. I mean, I want to be excited to see, oh, what's the new daily challenge today? I'm gonna get 1,000 free credits. That's still only half a hero crate, but let's say it's get 25 kills with Palpatine and you get 1,000 credits. I'd totally play Palpatine with that. Well, I play him anyways, but if there was something that I don't usually play, but I could get 1,000 easy credits for it, well, then I would do it. 100 credits, I don't really care. And I think the daily crate is something I want to bring up, but I don't agree with everyone in the community because people seem to be expecting way too much from this crate, because this is something you get completely free just by logging in. However, 125 credits and 5 crafting parts is a little bit too low. But when you do get that star card, then it's actually pretty good, because that means you get either one free upgrade, or if it is a duplicate, that is 325 credits in total, which is almost the same amount you get from a Galactic Assault game. So that is pretty good. I think they simply need to make sure that you maybe either always get a star card or get a little bit higher credits and crafting parts. It should be something that actually matters to you, but that doesn't give you a big boost, because after all you need to do is log in and press one button to get this. So I think the focus should be more on that daily challenge. The daily crate should be just something a little bit extra, basically. And while we're talking about the challenges, I just thought that they were very buggy in terms of UI in general, especially when you level up and get a credit bonus. You don't really see that anywhere, so it took me really long to figure out why I was getting so much extra credits at the start, but it's apparently because every time you rank up you get extra credits. All you see when you're out of the game is a bunch of pop-ups saying rewards unlocked, but it's really unclear what you got and how much you got. It just needs some work in terms of bug fixing, making it more clear, and also making the challenges that pop up between games actually work, because they're pretty bugged. And I also think it would be nice if you could get a pop-up in game saying, boom, you just finished this challenge. Nice, now I can switch away to play with something else because I've already gotten all the kills with the impact grenade I need, or something like that. In terms of controls, I've noticed some bugs on, I think it's mostly PC, with speeders, which is speeder bikes and Tatooine speeders and so on, where if you're standing still, you can pretty much not turn the vehicle properly. You need to like drag your mouse like an idiot over your mouse pad for it to actually move, and it worked perfectly fine in the previous game. And in this game it works a lot worse. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but I just think that needs to be looked on by, I think it's Criterion actually who made those vehicles. So with the mouse you can't turn when you're standing still, which makes it super awkward when you need to turn around if you're stuck in a pretty narrow situation where you can't gain full speed and then turn. I didn't want to talk too much about specific classes and their abilities, but one thing I wanted to bring up was the officer, because I think it's so underwhelming to play the officer at the moment. I'm very happy for everyone doing so and supporting the team, but I just think it's so demotivating when you get nothing for boosting teammates. I tried this during my streams, and I know a lot of you have seen it, where I basically said, okay, I'm gonna boost Kylo Ren and these 3 guys before they run into battle. I do it, they kill a couple of people, I get 3 battle points for it. I've also used it in the middle of a battle, healing people up who are already damaged, got 3 battle points for that as well. And after that, I basically never play the officer again. I know it's a good class, like it has good weapons, it has good abilities, that isn't the problem, but I don't know, I want to be rewarded if I do teamwork. I know that might be a little bit selfish, but I just think it's unfair if you equip a bunch of teamwork abilities, but you don't really get anything back for it. Especially now that winning a game, as I mentioned earlier, doesn't really give you anything. If that was the case, I would have played the officer just to be able to push on to that point and win and get those extra credits. But at the moment, there's not really any satisfaction in either helping your team or winning the game. And then over to the squad system, and this is something that I think a lot of people are gonna have different opinions on. I like the spawn wave system a lot if you play online with random people, because you're always close to the people when you start, and I know you're not gonna stick close to a random player online no matter what they do, so the fact that you can get extra points by just staying alive and having a good spawn wave is good enough for me. The problem is if you play with friends, there's not really any reward for playing together with them. You can see them as a green outline, which is good, but I think it would be nice if you could somehow get the spawn wave to always include your friends. I know that doesn't make sense because the bar resets when you die, but I think there could be some way they could do this where if you die, your individual multiplier goes down to 0, but you're still gonna be in the spawn wave or group with your friends, and whenever they do stuff that progresses the actual multiplier, it will do so for everyone. They might already be at double multiplier because they've stayed alive, but your meter has reset. So it would basically mean that everyone's multiplier at the bottom would not be the same within the squad wave if you're playing with your friends. But if that still means that I can be in a spawn wave with my friends and actually get a reward for doing good together with them, then that's good enough for me. I personally don't think there should be a system where you can spawn on your teammates. That's for Battlefield, for more open maps. I think it's just annoying if I kill someone and they spawn right back in. I know some people will disagree with me, that is fine, but that's how I feel about it. And now over to arcade credits. I think the current arcade credit system is quite bad because of the fact that you get 100 credits no matter what you do. You can go in and instantly die and get 100 credits, or you can play a custom arcade and get 500 kills and get 100 credits, or possibly 125. It's a little bit different. But there's not really any reason to do anything other than going in, dying, and then rinse and repeat 5 times every day. So I think it needs to be based of actually trying to win an arcade first of all, and maybe depending on how long you play. And also I think that the daily limit is to some degree good, so you can't farm offline. But some people do actually like to play only arcade, so they should get something. It could be like 50 credits, something that makes it so that you can't compete with anyone who's playing multiplayer, but you still get something back for playing arcade. Because I can understand people's frustration if they just want to play arcade and they only get credits 5 times in one day. But I also think you shouldn't be able to farm it and grind it. That's not how the credits should be handled. It should be something where the few people who might only want to play arcade, they can get something back for it. And also while we're talking about arcade, one thing that honestly pissed me off a lot with arcade is the fact that you can't play it online. Meaning that if I play on PC, I literally can't play arcade with anyone else. It's impossible. And this was in the previous game. You could play the battles with other players online, which was so much fun. And I actually played at the capture event some Jump Trooper on Jump Trooper with split screen, and it was so much fun, and I was so excited. Oh, I want to record videos of this. I want to do one-on-ones with a bunch of random people. And then I found out you can't team up with someone and play arcade online. That is to me such a lost opportunity that especially considering you can't do it on PC, you can't even do split screen on PC, but you need a console to get that feature. It was just so frustrating. And that also brings me into the fact that we don't have private matches, because if we did have private matches, then it would have been fine. You can set up your own private matches with whatever rules you want. But now we neither have online arcade or private matches, and that's also something that it just needs to be in the game. It's frustrating when there's so much creativity in the community and people just want to chill and set up their own rules, especially now that we don't have a map selector. And yeah, we just need more freedom to create our own experiences, I think. I'm sure this is something they will add eventually, like they did with the previous game, but I still wanted to bring it up nevertheless. I also wanted to mention something in Galactic Assault, which is heroes on the minimap. Now that heroes are actually quite weak, or I wouldn't say weak, but a lot weaker than in the previous game, I don't like the fact that you can always see them on the map. It means that you can never be sneaky with the hero and come up behind anyone, except if they're not looking at the map at all, because you always have a red marker showing where the heroes are. So a lot of times I can see, oh, there's 2 heroes behind this door. Well, I'm not walking in there. We already get an indicator when they're spawning, so if you actually pay attention to that, you know how much heroes are going to be in the game, because you can also see when they die. And I think that's enough, honestly. Maybe if someone shoots and does abilities, sure, they should show up, but it shouldn't be a permanent marker constantly showing exactly where all the heroes are. Some balancing in terms of Galactic Assault is obviously needed, but they've already confirmed it's happening in terms of how much tickets you get, because a lot of maps are really hard for the attackers. And I think the specific thing that I think is frustrating is when there's 2 or 3 targets you need to capture or something like that, and you capture one of them and then you go to the second one and it goes into overtime. But even if you cap that second one, you need to get to the third one, so you might be fighting for that second one forever during the overtime. But you know that even when you capture that one, you're gonna lose instantly anyways, because you don't get any extra tickets for it. So I think even if you are on one particular phase which has multiple objectives, you should get tickets for each of those objectives, meaning that if you just manage to push to that second objective and get it, well, you should get at least a little bit of extra tickets to use on the third and final objective for that specific phase. And there's kind of some similar things in Starfighter Assault, where some maps are really hard for the attackers, and I'm sure they can see a lot of the data now that the game is public, and the first balancing patch will probably fix most of that. But I think both Starfighter Assault and Galactic Assault could definitely do with some balancing. Now over to something that I have to complain in every single game about, which is the party system. I can't speak for consoles here, this is simply my PC experience, but Origin and the party system is as rubbish as always. It's a little bit better than in the previous game, but there are so many bugs. Now they have an automatically activated voice chat, which is fine that they have a voice chat, it's good. But first of all, the voice chat is so bad that you can barely hear what anyone is saying, so even when I've tried to use it, we've had to disable it and go somewhere else. But the fact that it's automatically activated and you need to actually mute every single person that goes into the party is super annoying. And sometimes the mute button doesn't even work, which means that you can't really play with them unless you want to hear their annoying background sound all the time. And some other party bugs is the fact you can't kick people from the party. You can't see who in the party is in a game. You can see it when they're not in a party, but when they are in the party, you can't see which game they're in. So which is super annoying if you have a lot of people in the party and it says join game on the top, but you want to search for something else, but you have no idea who in the party is currently in the game and what they are playing, which means that I have to remake the party, invite one by one and make sure that they're not in a game, and then I can join an actual game. Because at the moment, if one single person in the party is in a game, you can't queue up for any other game. And sometimes it seems like even though no one is in the game, it still shows that you are in a game, and at that point you might even need to restart the game. I could talk for 30 minutes about the party system and Origin and how you can't accept friend requests, how you can't send friend requests, and yeah, Origin and the party system is just such a frustration with every single game that DICE releases, and I just gotta bring it up. I know everyone knows about the issues by now, but I wanted to bring them up anyways. And another feature that I feel is missing is the actual stats in-game menu. It was in the previous game, and I don't know, I care a lot about stats. I'd imagine that a lot of people don't care about stats, but I think it's fun to see how's my win ratio doing. That's actually a big motivation to why I try to really play the objective in the last game, and something that could make me play the officer more even if I don't get more points for it, simply because I like to have a good win ratio. That shows that you're pretty good at the game. KD ratio, sure, it's pretty interesting, but win ratio is what really shows that you can play the objective and the game properly. And I just think a stats menu should be kind of like a standard feature in a multiplayer shooter. So yeah, I was very disappointed to see that there was no stats menu in the game at all. Another thing that I think would help a lot is doing stuff between games, crafting cards, seeing your credits, or maybe even buying crates, because right now you can't really do much between the games other than just customizing your loadout. And it's a little bit annoying because sometimes you might want to know how much credits you have. Can I buy a crate? In that case I might have to exit the game. And now that we're stuck in a fixed rotation and can't choose our map, I don't really want to drop out of a Galactic Assault game, because if I'm unlucky I might have to replay all the same maps I just did, just because I exited the game to craft the new cards. So I think crafting cards and buying crates is something you should be able to do between the games. Not while the game is running, that is understandable, but between the games at least, without having to exit the game and re-queue. And while we're talking about the actual map rotation, since we don't have private matches, I think we really need a map selector like in the previous game. It's fine if you only get put on that map once and then it keeps going into the normal rotation, but I don't understand why that's not there at all, because it kind of feels like it won't really split the community, because you will still go into the same rotation and you won't be playing just one map. You basically just choose the map you want to start playing on. And since there is a fixed rotation, you can kind of decide, oh, I want to play these 3 maps, so I'm going to pick the top one of those, and then you just keep playing with the rotation. That would be completely fine with me. I don't think I want a vote system like some people suggest, because that means that some maps are never going to be played simply. So I'd rather have a system where we can choose where in the rotation we want to join, or having the actual map rotation being random, maybe every day it could change or something like that, because right now I always know what the next map is gonna be, and that isn't as exciting as seeing, ooh, the next map is Kashyyyk. That's a feeling that I think is nice to have simply. And another thing I wanted to bring up about the crates, I'm not sure why I had it at the bottom of the document, but the fact that you can get a bunch of weapons in the crates, I do not understand. I think it might have been a mistake on some of the weapons, but it seems like you can pretty much get all the high-tiered weapons in crates, although super rare. And since those are one of the things that you actually need to work pretty hard towards getting, it's pretty underwhelming that you can just be lucky and get it in a crate. I haven't gotten any of them yet, so it's probably pretty rare. I'm still grinding to unlock them by actually using the class, which is fun, but if they're in there, please take them out. And lastly, I want to bring up one big thing that was also an issue with the previous game, which is communication. It's key between game developers and community, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about, oh, how's the next progression system gonna look? That takes weeks or months to develop, so I understand that they haven't communicated that. That is fine, but we've had some really major rubber banding and lag issues, which has pretty much rendered the game unplayable at some times. And I think by the time you're watching this video, it was probably yesterday that they made a post on the forum acknowledging them. And I think that was like 3 or 4 days after the issues appeared, which is way too long response time in my opinion. And this wasn't some small issue. People were reporting it everywhere. So if it's just a small thing, whatever. But that it takes so long for them to just go out and say, hey, we're looking into it, be calm. Because as soon as they posted that, everyone was fine. People stopped responding to every tweet. People stopped commenting on my videos because they saw, okay, they're working on it. There's no point in complaining. So that was something I was really hoping that they would be a little bit better with in this game, the communication. I mean, it's been a really rough start for them, to say the least, so I hope it's gonna improve over time. But just the rubber banding part was something that I thought could have been handled a lot faster. But yeah, I think that is gonna bring my list of things I want changed to an end, at least on the kind of bigger topics. And that was actually a quite long video, to say the least. And also, I just want to say that I love this game. I think it's so much fun. I'm playing it every single day, and I want it to be as good as it possibly can be, because I will play this for a very long time and for hundreds if not thousands of hours. So that's why I'm making these videos. It's not to hate on the game like some other people do to get clicks, but it's simply because these are things that I think would genuinely make the game better, and I hope you guys understand that. And that's also why I didn't make this video the first day of the game, because I wanted to kind of get a good sense of the game and actually play it for quite some time before I made this video. Sure, I could have made it a little bit faster, I'll admit that, but I hope it was still helpful to everyone watching, and hopefully at least 1 or 2 developers might watch this. I'm sure a lot of these things are mirrored within the community anyways, but it would be nice if 1 or 2 developers watch this video, because I think there's some good stuff in there. But yeah, that brings this video to an end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the force be with you.